Hey guys, this is my sister Brittany.
And this is my sister Tara.
And welcome back to My Sister's Nightmare, a horror movie review channel for horror fans.
By horror fans. Whoa, Dad!
Jesus Christ, Crispin!
Dad, not to get off on the wrong foot or anything, but why is Mom standing in the driveway crying?
Because you're still fat.
Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we are going to be reviewing You're Next, released in
2013, initially made in 2011 and released in a couple festivals, but then was theatrically released in 2013.
Cool. So I just watched this movie fully as far as I can remember for the first time last night. I feel like I know I've definitely started this movie in the past but never finished it or just don't remember finishing it for some reason. I don't know how I wouldn't remember because this movie's off the hook, but yeah, it was my first watch and I liked it.
I've seen this movie a few times, but it's been a couple years since I've seen it. And when I was rewatching it today, there were some things I forgot. So I was like, "Whoa!" So, yeah, this one was a fun one, guys.
I wasn't expecting the amount of deaths, which we're going to get into in detail, but there's a lot of deaths in this movie.
For all you gore hounds out there, you will be satisfied with this one.
Ah!
Ah! Anyways,
The fuck?
this movie has a pretty big cast, but to name a few, it stars Sharni Vinson, I think I'm saying that right, as Aaron, Nicholas Tucci as Felix, Wendy Glenn as Z, and horror alum Barbara Crampton as Aubrey.
Who, fun fact, was raised in our home state of Vermont.
She was. And then she traveled the country with her fathers during the summer because he was a carny.
Could you imagine if our father was a carny?
He is. No.
I know, right?
Ah!
Hi, Dad! He probably won't even watch it this far in.
This movie is edited and directed by Adam Wingard, who also helped do part of the music for the movie.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this movie. Within the first 5 minutes, we're going to pump up our kill count to 2.
The movie starts off with a very awkward sex scene, I think. You know, my very first thought, especially when it shows these two characters, like, after they're done screwing, I was like, why is she screwing him? And she looks miserable.
She looks so fucking miserable about it. It's like, why are you even there then?
Very weird. So they get done. The guy says that he's going to go take a shower.
Yeah, hardly any dialogue between these two in this opening scene.
Just a wham bam,
What?
done, taking a shower. The girl character goes off and makes herself a little cocktail, throws on some tunes.
Yep. Notices that the outdoor motion detector light comes on and she's just kind of standing there looking.
Curious. And then it cuts to the shower where the guy is. He's getting out. Music's playing loudly in the background.
You know, he kind of wraps himself in a towel, takes a drink off of a drink, is looking for her.
Is looking for her, and he notices that there's something written on the sliding glass doors. In blood it says,
You're next! And it's on the outside of the glass
And then he
door.
looks down and sees her lifeless body. He freaks out. He stumbles backwards.
And that's it.
That's it, guys.
So, those are the first two kills. They're off-screen kills. But we know they're legit kills because you see both of their bodies. So, that's how we're starting off.
That's the opening scene.
Those characters really don't mean anything to us going forward. It's just to show that there's things not good happening in the neighborhood.
Well, the neighbor's house kind of plays into it a little bit later on. Not a whole lot into the storyline, but just kind of a place for
the neighbor's house, but not necessarily the characters.
Right. And then it's the next day, or we find out the next day, and the parents of the family in this movie, Aubrey and Paul, are driving to...
It's like a vacation home, I think they have.
I don't know if it's a vacation home or a home that they just bought and they're getting, like, ready.
Because it's wicked outdated. Like
It's outdated, and their son, Crispin, mentions that the father bought it as, like, a fixer-upper, but that he's only paid people to fix it up so far.
Huge fixer-upper. It's a huge
Big
house.
Big house. And they, quickly mention, because they see the car from the neighbor's home, so the Aubrey mentions, oh, so-and-so's home, and the dad's like, yeah, supposedly he left his wife for a college student. Wink, wink.
Friggin' hogs. God.
Anyways.
So they get to the house, and they're just getting ready. They're doing some cleaning, and... just getting ready for everybody to get there, and Audrey, is that her name? Aubrey? Aubrey hears a noise and sees the chandelier shaking. So, like, something happened above. And then Paul jumps into the room, and she was like, was that you upstairs? And he pretty much said that he was down in the basement. She starts freaking the fuck out. She's like, somebody's in the house. If you were downstairs... what the hell was that upstairs? Like, they don't have any pets or anything. Somebody's in the house, so she
went tearing out of the house.
She went tearing out of the house. She's bawling in the front yard.
And a little bit before this scene, Crispin and Aaron are in the car on the way to the house, and he mentions to her, because she asks if the parents have any good booze. And Crispin says, probably not, because my mom's on medication. So we kind of get the vibe that Aubrey's not
mentally
maybe
well.
not the strongest person. Maybe she's got some struggles she's going through. There is some family discord, like we mentioned, and some different tensions that come up.
Oh, yeah. So, Paul goes upstairs looking for what the noise could have been. Creeping through rooms. He's about to open the closet door when Crispin pops out of nowhere and is like, Dad, why the hell's Mom bawling in the driveway? Sorry to scare you, type of deal. And when they go downstairs, it just shows that closet door that he never got fully open. He cracked it when Crispin scared him. You see that closet door open just a little bit more. That freaked me out. I was like, yeah, somebody's in there.
Somebody's in that house from the very get-go.
Oh, yeah.
And by this point, we find out that everyone's getting together because it's the parents' 35th anniversary.
Could you imagine being married to somebody for 35 years?
Ooh. So, after everyone arrives at the house and introductions are had and this and that, we eventually cut to a dinner scene.
The dinner scene. So they do a prayer, I think. Do they do a prayer?
I think the mother says something. It starts out pretty nice. They ask Tariq, which is the daughter's boyfriend, what he does. Kind of talks about that a little bit. They ask Crispin and Aaron how they met.
Yeah, and that's when shit really hits the fan because they're giving Crispin a ton of crap for dating one of his college students who ended up dropping his class or something afterwards. But they're giving him a bunch of hell for that, and All of a sudden, everybody's arguing, everybody's screaming at each other.
Everybody's going back and forth. It's just... But then, the boyfriend of the daughter, Tariq, he notices something, and you kind of see him get up kind of slowly. Mind you, everyone's still yelling and fighting, so they don't even really notice him break away.
He's walking over to the window like, what the hell?
And I think he even says something like, what the hell, or what the fuck, or
like,
something.
What is that? Or something like that. And all of a sudden
And then all of a sudden, Texas, we get a...
And he's just kind of standing there.
And the family doesn't even notice right off.
It's Aaron notices, and then... Oh, what the hell was that brother's name?
Ooh, pause. I just want to elaborate when Aaron notices. This is when you kind of... Because we find out that... Spoiler alert. She grew up in a survivalist compound?
Yeah, she's Australian, and she grew up in the outback in, like, a survivalist compound, because her father, after she was born, her father was worried about, like, the apocalypse.
So what I like when she first notices is you see her just kind of look over, and the camera cuts down to the broken glass on the floor that she sees. Then she looks up and sees the broken window, and then she looks at Tariq.
Yeah.
I just like the progression of that quick little scene of how she's so observant of just what happened.
Oh yeah, she grew up, being observant, and she quickly caught on. She was the first one who noticed it, and then one of the brothers noticed. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. When we get into Kill Counts, I'll know his name. And then everybody notices, and everybody starts screaming, and arrows are flying through the window. People are hitting the fucking deck, like...
One of the brother's girlfriends is really freaking out Kelly, screaming they're all gonna die. The mother is so upset at this point, Aubrey. She's freaking out. One of the brothers gets an arrow in his back.
Yeah, the one that noticed second, he catches an arrow to the back that doesn't kill him. So they've all hit the deck. Arrows are flying through. They pretty much start grabbing dinner chairs and using them as a shield to run by into, like, another area that doesn't have a window.
To get them out of the dining room.
Yeah, so they all get out of the dining room and are downstairs. And they know they need to get out of the house.
Yeah, once they're out of that dining room with those big crazy windows... Like you said, they know they need to get out of the house, so they're kind of talking amongst themselves, obviously all kind of freaking out still.
Trying to figure out who's the fastest runner.
Fastest?
So they decide that what they're going to do is, the daughter decides that she's going to be the one to go out. She's the fastest runner out of everybody there. They decide that they're not going to open the doors till very last minute so that they don't see her coming. And she just starts running full speed. Yeah, because she backs all the way up. And it shows...
tears ass.
It shows it slow motion too, which I thought was kind of a cool
scene. I like that.
But it shows her running slow motion right as she gets to the doors. They open it, and what happens, Lex?
And there is a tripwire. Runs right into it. Neck bursts open.
They drag her back in the house.
Everyone's freaking out. The mother's screaming, my baby, oh God. Oh no, oh God, no.
Jesus. So
mayhem.
Then mayhem breaks loose,
Drag her in, slam the door shut.
At some point, the father brings the mother upstairs and puts her to bed. This is wild to me. I know she's having a fucking freak out, but at this point, you really shouldn't separate. Because leave a woman that's...
Because again, at this point, guys, they think the danger's all coming from outside. Especially after just trying to run out of the house, they're like, okay, we need to hunker down, safety's in here.
Right.
Like you said, they get the bright, not so bright idea to go lay mom down.
That to me is just wild.
And then the dad lays her down and she's like, don't leave me. And he's like, but I gotta go check the kids.
I should have just never separated, you idiots. That's my one nitpick. So, but, I mean, it is what it is. She was obviously very fragile.
And can we just talk about a part of the movie that really creeped me out? The scene where the mom's laying in bed alone because the dad's gone at this point, and it's kind of a back scene, so you see her laying fully on the bed, and then just out of like a little shadow, you see like a hand come crawling out from under the bed. The scene gave me chills.
Yeah, underneath beds scare the hell out
I
of me.
hate that business.
I do
Stay out
too.
from underneath my bed.
Yeah, it freaks me out. It reminds me of this time years ago when the local apple orchard used to do the haunted hay rides and shit. And I remember going on that when I was like 13. And there wasn't much action yet, but like we're riding along and then all of a sudden somebody grabbed my ankle that was like acting in this hayride, and I just remember screaming hysterically. Like that kind of shit freaks me out.
Oh yeah.
Little fun story.
So the mom unfortunately gets it at this point, which I will say, guys, me personally, I was kind of hoping Barbara Crampton's character would make it a little bit longer.
Since she is kind of like a horror icon.
She's kind of a horror, well no, she is a horror icon. She is. And I believe, I would have to look to be sure, so don't quote me on this one, but I believe this was like her kind of return to acting, this film. Like, it had been a good gap of time. She had spent time raising her kids and doing that kind of stuff. So, and I remember either in a commentary or something I watched, the directors, reach out to her because they wanted her for this role. And when they met with her, they were actually kind of shocked on how good looking she still was. Like, they had to age her up with like the hairstyle and the makeup, and
like she doesn't look old enough to be a mother of that many kids in this movie because she looks so young.
She looks great, yeah.
But her kill is also an off-screen kill.
But gnarly when they go and see, because they hear the mom scream from downstairs, so they all go running up. I believe the boys see it first, then the father comes bursting through. No! No!
She's got a machete sticking out of her head.
It says, "Your neck's" written on the wall. Which, quick sec, I'm going to nitpick here. They literally hear the mom scream and go running upstairs. The killer had enough time to write "You're next" on the wall with all this blood dripping down.
I'm about to nitpick more.
Go ahead.
So next, everybody goes taking off. At this point, they know there's somebody in the house. She didn't kill herself and write "You're next" on the wall. Everybody goes breaking off or whatever, but nobody's addressing the fact that there's a murderer in the house. And one of the girls even stays alone in the room with her.
Kelly.
Like, what are you guys doing? Obviously, there's somebody in the house. You're not addressing it, trying to find the person. Like, there's so many of them at that point. They could have banded together. You know what I mean? So yeah, that just kind of drives me nuts. There's so many of them at that point. They could have banded together to find the killer.
Like, how have they not pieced it together that the killer's in the house? Or, like, been, because like you said, Kelly stays in the room.
There's no acknowledgement of it.
But then, like, Kelly kind of, like, hears something, or she's inclined to get down and look under the bed. And as she lowers her head down, Bareface, I think it's Bareface, comes sliding right up.
That made me jump. That made me jump.
Wolfface comes sliding right up. She screams, tears ass out of the house, ducks under the tripwire this time, and she's running, she's freaking out, she's screaming. Wearing an awful shirt, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh my god, it was bad. It
What was she, a jester from 1772?
She looked like one. That's all I could think the whole time I was watching.
That's why I was screaming. So she's running, and she eventually makes it to the neighbor's house. The ones that we see in the beginning. The music's still playing real loud.
She's pounding on the glass. She sees somebody sitting on the couch. She's pounding and pounding and pounding, and she's
"Let me in! What the fuck's wrong with you?"
And then in the reflection, you just see the wolf face mask, and she turns around, and he fucking jabs her so hard in the face, she goes flying through that glass door.
And when she says flying, guys, Literally.
Like, feet off the ground, 10 feet.
Like that scene, because I did remember that scene, but even on a rewatch, I'm just like, that was cold.
He straight up jacked her in the fucking head, dude.
Jacked her in the face.
Oh man, that had to have broken some bones too. Like she literally, in this, she's obviously not a big woman. She went flying.
And she's inside. She's like crawling slowly through the glass,
trying to get to the guy sitting on the couch. It's our pervert that was banging the college girl in the beginning, sitting on the couch, dead, but they had propped him up. It looked like he was alive, but he was dead. Because
from behind, yeah, it looked like he's just sitting there.
Even from the front, he looked alive, because they had him propped so perfectly. So, Kelly's death scene is one of my favorite death scenes, just because it's so unique.
Describe to our viewers.
She's on her back. Say this is her melon. The guy walks up to her, puts one foot here, right on the side of her head, holding it steady, takes an axe that he has in this hand, and literally swings it into the side of her head like he's putting a golf ball.
Like he's playing croquet, or is it croquet?
Croquet, babe.
Croquet?
One of them two.
One of them. It was fucking
that game
wild.
from the movie Heathers.
Just right into her melon. It went like a good halfway through too. I was like, I've never seen a death scene like that. So that makes her death number... Bear with me, guys. I have it all here in my phone. That makes her death number 6.
And then I believe we cut to a scene where one of the intruders enters the house for the first time, where the family is.
Yep.
And this is where Erin... This is where we really see, like, how much of a badass she is. This because she just fucking...
This is where Erin shines bright
like a diamond. She kicks him in the balls. Like, right in the balls. He doubles over in pain. And then she takes a friggin' meat tenderizer and just... over and over again. Crack in the melon, crack in the melon, crack in the melon. And Felix and Z, I believe, are just kind of standing there watching this.
Felix and Z are literally just standing there watching it. Like, oh my god.
And there's some great dialogue after where, like, this intruder's now dead. And Erin says something like, oh, well, you know, you guys didn't help or anything. And Felix is like, you look like you had a handle on it.
And she did. She's pretty wily, for sure.
Now, at this point in the movie, the father's upstairs, and he goes into a closet. And he opens the closet.
It's the closet from when Crispin was scaring him, yes.
From the beginning of the movie. And in that closet is some weird stuff, like a blanket, bottles of water. But in one of the bottles of water is, like, urine,
I think. Like a guy had like, typical man pissing in a bottle.
Because the dad even says at one point to, I think, one of the boys or something, like, somebody's been watching us while we sleep. Someone's been in the house. Yeah, it was
Felix, I think.
We don't know yet at this point.
No, Felix that he said that to.
Yeah, oh yes, I believe it's Felix he says it to. And then, of course, the good old horror trope, the power goes out for a minute. Mm-hmm. You gotta have that in there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then, this is when we get a twist in the movie, guys. So the power, I believe, I'm not sure if this goes in this sequence, but I know the power comes back on rather quickly. And then, like, one of the masked intruders comes up behind the father and slashes his throat. Which is not the most shocking part of the scene. The most shocking part of the scene is Felix and Z have no reaction. His father just got murdered right in front of him.
He's blank-faced. He isn't screaming. They aren't running. They're just standing there. This is when it clicked in my head what was going on.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, so it's not just random intruders, like, coming to... There's like a plan or something going on.
Yeah, so the one that just killed him came out.
And at this point, Crispin, the fat brother, he's long gone at this point.
He ran
took
to
off.
get help.
He ran to get help like shortly after they discovered the mom.
Yeah.
And then he hasn't been back since. They haven't heard from him. So
bear with us while we try to get this in order, because there is so much action in this movie.
There's so much, guys. That like
it's
the third
act
is crazy.
You can't even take a stop. You can't even stop to breathe watching this movie.
You can't. There's so much going on.
So right after Paul's throat's been slit in front of Felix, and we see that Felix and Z have no reaction, the masked killer comes out, and Felix is like, "You had to kill my father right in front of me? You had to do it right in front of me, huh?" And that's when you're like, "Oh, shit!" Like, he obviously put a hit out on his parents, and me being the true crime nerd that I am, as you all know by now, like, this shit really does happen in real life. So I was like, okay, got it. I got his number. I get what's going on. So they all go downstairs, and we know at some point Felix killed the brother whose name we can't remember that had been shot in the back with a bow and arrow. We know that they're in the basement at some point together, and Felix kills him by stabbing him in the chest with screwdrivers, like 5 or 6 different screwdrivers. He looks like a pegboard with screwdrivers in him.
And Felix is such a little bitch, too, because while he's stabbing his brother to death, he's like, "Why won't you just die already?
Because you're making this so much harder. Why won't you just die?" He is a little asshole.
Ugh.
So at this point, like I said, it's hard to remember the exact order because there's so much that's going on. But they're all in the, Felix and Z and the masked intruders are downstairs, and they're arguing because Felix is pissed that it's all getting fucked up. One of the masked guys is pissed that his brother was killed. And the whole time, Aaron is on the other side of the basement door listening. So now Aaron's tuned in to what's going on.
She is fully aware that Felix and Z has planned this whole thing. And she knows it's all for inheritance because, they're talking to the masked intruder before he gets it about how they're so sorry his brother got killed. They'll give him another 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, whatever it is. Like all this extra money, da-da-da-da-da.
So I can't remember the exact order of how this happens, but at some point, Erin's phone goes off because she's been trying to send out a text to 911. The mass killers have had a phone scrambler that has made it so everybody's cell phone was unusable since the start of everything. But she still sent the message out because she knew the minute there was even a sliver of service, the text would go out. So her phone goes off saying that the message had been sent. The killers hear her. It's pretty much just chasing around the house, trying to find her. And during this time, she's able to kill the 2 remaining masked killers.
She finishes them off.
Stabs one in the head. The other one she bashes in the head with a log. So they're dead. All 3. So we now know that there was 3 masked killers. They're all dead.
They're gonzo.
That leaves Felix and Z, and Crispin's still out there somewhere. We still don't know what's going on with Krispy Kreme.
We're kind of almost assuming he's dead at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because they try to reassure Aaron earlier in the movie after Crispin has left that it's okay, he's tough, he'll make it. And Aaron's like, "No, he's not, but thank you."
Yeah.
I love
he's
that.
Not, but okay.
So, yeah, we kind of assume he's dead.
Then she gets into a full battle in the kitchen with
Felix and Z. And let me just talk to you about
Describe
this kill.
your favorite death scene.
My favorite kill in the movie, guys. So this is Aaron.
It's
She's fighting with Felix. They're going at it. They're struggling. They're in the kitchen. She takes a blender, smashes the glass part, just the blades exposed. She takes it, clonks it on his squash, plugs it in.
His brains are pretty much blended into a
Freaking
milkshake.
awesome!
pretty much blended to a milkshake.
Love that scene.
He's dead, so now she's fighting Z, and she literally just stabs Z on the top of her head.
Right in the squash.
And, Z
And the
just
way
kinda
she
sinks.
takes the knife, like, because the knife, isn't it in her leg or something? Like, she pulls the knife out, like, flips it around in her hand.
Yeah, in like a half a second, she pulls it out of her shoulder, flips it around, and stabs her. It's literally half a second. It was so quick. Then she's just kind of slumped down on the floor.
And before you go further, when she's slumped down on the floor, I love this shot of the movie.
It's literally her between
Felix and
Z.
He's got the blender still on his head. She's got the knife in her head. And she's just like resting between them, exhausted.
Covered in blood.
Cool shot. We should see if we can get a title card of that. Cool shot.
And then she hears a phone ringing. Because when everybody...
Felix's phone.
When the bad guys were outside, Felix had switched the scramble box off so that cell service came back. And she hears a phone ringing. And you see her just kind of looking at it.
Another twist, guys.
She answers if it doesn't say anything. And who is it, Texas?
Crispin.
That fat bitch.
And he's saying, Felix? Felix, is it done? Now, Crispin is kind of a bitch, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, he was like, I'm sorry, man. You knew that this was going to be a potential, that I wouldn't be able to handle it. So I, you know, I'm a pacifist. And he's just talking, and he's like, come on, Felix, say something. I can hear you breathing.
And Aaron's just sitting there the whole time like, oh my fucking God. So Crispin's like, all right, I'm coming in, still talking to Felix on the phone. I'm coming in. As he walks through, he sees Aaron on the phone. He's like, oh my God, Aaron, you're alive. And she just takes the phone and drops it. And that's when he knows that she knows. And pretty much the whole time he's just trying to talk his way out of it. Like, oh, you know how broke we are. We needed this inheritance money. I was never going to have you killed. You were just going to be the witness that saw that it was a random attack. And blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and on and on. And she kills him.
And then she goes up. You're him, I'm her. He's talking. All of a sudden, and he asks, why the fuck not? In the eye to finish him off. He crumbles to the floor.
And then, pop! There's a cop in the window that shoots Aaron. But Aaron's not dead.
She goes down. And then, you think this might be the end of the movie? The credits might roll? Not quite yet, guys. Because earlier in the movie, Aaron sets up a little booby trap above the front door. Well, guess what that police officer does that just shot her?
Walks into that fucking booby trap and catches an axe right in the middle of his head. Which is off screen technically, because it's like the axe is right here and it cuts out.
Like the axe like comes into camera. Credits roll.
That axe, it's just gore from beginning to end. The cop is kill 15. There's 15 kills.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but every single human in the film dies. Like the first two in the sex scene in the beginning die.
Well, we don't know about Erin. She's technically still alive because she's crawling towards
Oh
the
no,
door.
Erin is. She's the final girl of the movie.
Everybody
but
else?
like literally everybody else, no matter how big or small the character was, dies in this.
15 kills. That's insane.
15 kills, guys. That is a high kill count for sure. So like we said in the beginning, for all you gore hounds or like just love all that carnage, I think you'll be pleased with this one.
Some good unique kills too. Yeah, some fun ones.
I gotta throw out a bit of a negative. I do like this film in general, and we will get into our ratings here in a second. One thing that kind of took me out of some of the most intense moments, the color of the fake blood. It was like bile orange.
I also feel like the whole house had like a red undertone to it anyways.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
It kind of took me out. I mean, the effects were good. The murders were good when they happened. But then the after effects with the fake blood, I was just like,
Yeah. Good movie. There was a few things I didn't like, which we already went
Good
over.
movie. I think it has a really good pace to it. Like, it starts out pretty quick, and once
It's so fucking fast.
it's just,
There's 15 kills and it's an hour and a half long.
you do that math, guys.
It's insane. And some of the kills happen within a minute of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Good stuff.
Alright, ratings.
Ratings. So, IMDb gave this a 6.6, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 79%.
Rotten Tomatoes is... I don't disagree with it, but they're so all over the place with
You
their
never know what you're going to
ratings.
get with Rotten Tomatoes, because I feel like this is what, like our 6th review? This is
Yeah.
our 6th review now, and a lot of like our movies have fallen into the IMDb like 5.0 to 6.0 like range, and this is there in that 6.6. But Rotten Tomatoes, we had a movie as low as 9% and one as high as 96%, and then everything's been in the middle.
Yeah, it's so strange.
What would you give this movie from 0 to 5
4
stars?
out of 5.
Ooh, 4 out of 5. Explain.
I like the kill count. I do like gory stuff, and I'm a fan of just being scared. When a movie scares me, I love it. And this movie did have scenes that made me jump, but there was some stuff I couldn't get past that made me bring it down to a 4. The fact that they didn't acknowledge a killer in the house, very unrealistic, and that bothered me. I think that was probably the biggest thing that bothered me the most. And the fake blood was a little annoying, but besides that, it was a really good twist that I wasn't expecting.
Couple twists in there.
Yeah, like in the end with Crispin, I thought that he was going to be the one coming through the front door and get the axe to the head. I said it to Joe, I don't know how many times. And then he ended up being part of
the whole scam.
Part of the whole thing. So that threw me off.
Wild.
Yeah, it was a good story. 4 out of 5.
I would agree with your assessment and give it a 4 out of 5 as well. Like I just mentioned, the fake blood kind of threw me off a little bit. Not much. That small thing. I do wish Barbara Crampton's role was a little bit more plump in there, but I mean, that's just me. Trying to think. There's not really a whole lot I can nitpick with this one, though, guys, other than those things. You know, I like the storyline.
The acting was actually pretty good.
The acting is really good in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on another installment of Home Invasion Horror Month.
If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, recommend us to your friends, and until next time,
Sweet dreams.